tap the bottom and slide.
There we go. Okay. Greetings. Welcome to tonight's meeting. Let me go first through our announcements. Okay. Upcoming meetings. This Friday, August 11th, creative competition, which will be projection again. The deadline was this last Wednesday. We have then a meeting, live lecture, August 18th. Our own Coleman Rosenberg is going to be talking. There was a lot of demand for capturing events, people who shoot for community service or just who are asked to do family things where there are groups at tables or just groups in general, how to shoot basically groups of people and event photography. And Coleman's done a fair amount of that and has agreed to give a talk on that. So that is August 18th, a live lecture. August 25th, it's an interesting Zoom presentation. I mean, Kim Wasilewski has really scoured the country for a lot of some interesting speakers. And this one is an interesting one. I looked her up. Accidental Journey into Fine Art and Conceptual Photography. It's going to be a Zoom presentation. And I pulled this from her website. She's a photo-based artist whose work reflects her Southern roots, motherhood, womanhood, and a whimsical imagination she relied on as an only child in a rural town. Her photographic imagery explores the ideas of memory, loss, and family, and depression. So she has an interesting story to tell, and it's all through photography. And so her work is quite a bit different. It should be an interesting Zoom. So that is both Zoom, and the clubhouse will be open for that. September 1st is our black and white competition, or also a projection competition. Our SIG meeting, our next SIG meeting, September 7th. Dave Bush, our indomitable Dave Bush, just came back from Route 66. And even though he didn't want to show us his slides and whatnot, we have plied him into going over his whole journey through Route 66 from last month. And he'll be going over that, what to see, what not to see, how to photograph it, and that should be very, very interesting as well. So that's the SIG meeting next September 7th with Dave Bush. Our summer party, sign up, August 26th. That's a Saturday. It'll be outside here in the sun. There'll be grilling, hot dogs, games, fun, the whole works too. If the weather's bad, we move it inside here, so weather shouldn't make a difference. Just give us an RSVP at info@clevelandphoto.org if you're coming, so we have an estimate in terms of food and bean bags for the cornhole. Pixel Connection, again, has been nice enough to sponsor in August for CPS members, take that word back. Discounted sensor cleaning. They heavily discounted the sensor cleaning for the month of August for all CPS members. If you want to sign up for that and get the coupon, just go to our website, log into the members portal where you'll see offers, members offers, and you could just click on that and get your certificate. We have a few spots left in our portraiture and lighting course, which is always in big demand. We're limiting up to 15 students. John Soraya is giving it 3 Sundays in September. You don't have to have an advanced knowledge of lighting for this. This is for beginners also. There will be models there as well as lighting setups, and he'll walk you through beginning to end, flash, all kinds of lighting as well. You could sign up on the CPS website under the school page. And the fall school enrollment is also open for all 3 schools. Fundamentals of Good Photography, which will be starting August 30th. Lightroom and Introduction to Photoshop Photo Editing. You could sign up for those also on our website on the school page. Oh, and before I forget too, I don't have a slide for this, anyone who bought air show tickets, because they have to be picked up in person as well. at every meeting, I'm here usually early, I'll have these. So if anyone in the audience tonight purchased the air show tickets, see me afterwards to actually pick up the tickets. Volunteers. We filled a lot of our volunteer spots. We still have an opening on the exhibits committee. Need to assist us in finding venues, setting things up, just assisting in general. We will teach you all you need to know. There's only about 4 exhibits a year, so this isn't overwhelming, and the help would be appreciated. So anyone interested, just email me again at info@clevelandphoto.org, and I'll point you in the right direction. And as always, all these public meetings are on our YouTube channel. Just click on, there's been some people having trouble finding the YouTube button. It's on our website homepage. It's the upper right corner. Click on the little YouTube icon. That takes you to our webpage for YouTube. When you're there, click on Live, and that'll bring up all the CPS lectures. Our Zoom lectures are not up there. Those are proprietary. Those are all viewable on our website on the member portal. When you log in there, you'll see our last 2.5 years worth of Zoom presentations, and that's for members only. So, without further ado here, let me get things set up, and we'll get set for tonight's photojournalism. Okay. Okay, you have enough light there?
I think so.
I think so. Let's see. Is it still enough light? Okay. And let me turn this monitor back around. See, I almost forgot. Okay. We will get underway. The first is Belinda Prince. Oh, Belinda's here. Belinda, you come and let me give you a...
So you want me to describe my photo here?
Yeah,
Okay.
describe what you
Sure.
were going... Usually we have people describe how they got the photo, what they were thinking of, what they were looking for, that kind of thing as well.
I was traveling through the Canadian Rockies, a journey from Vancouver into Jasper National Park, and there's all kinds of beautiful things to see in that part of the country, and there was also this. Millions and millions of acres burned out. This was shot 2 years ago from a moving train, and I saw the eagle's nest. We had an open car that we could put our cameras out, and my goal was to try and show the living eaglets there amidst all this destruction. What really struck me was that the very tree that nest was built on was burned. And yet the little bit of greenery, since this was a fire that was maybe 3 or 4 years old, shows that spark of life along with the eaglets.
Okay. Thanks, Joe. Bill, I don't think Bill is here. Bill is not here.
Bill Keaton. All right. His first one is a shave and a haircut. Free care haircuts have traditionally been part of the Cleveland homeless stand down, and these 2 men took advantage of the free service. In addition to haircuts, other services available at the stand down included social services, housing assistance, medical screenings, Veterans Affairs, and food and clothing. The stand down was organized by BVU, Business Volunteers Unlimited. The next one is dental advice. Medical screenings, including dental advice and supplies, were just part of the services available at the Cleveland Homeless Stand Down, held April 26, 2023. at the Cleveland Auditorium. The event moves back to its traditional location after taking place last year at First Energy Stadium. The event typically offers services to about 1,500 people. This next one is called A New Pair of Shoes. Footwear can be particularly important to the homeless, and socks and shoes are usually high on the list of homeless persons' needs. Clothing of all sorts and new shoes and boots were made available to the homeless at the Cleveland Homeless Stand Down, held April 22nd. The stand down was organized by Business Volunteers Unlimited with support from university hospitals, the Cleveland Clinic, the Red Cross, Case Western Reserve University, and many others. Typically, about 1,500 people, including many veterans, are provided services at this event. Bob Kowaleski.
Oh yeah, Bob's here.
Oh, good.
Hi, this is Lewis. Ian took everything. Hurricane Ian struck Fort Myers on September 29th, 2022. It was a Category 4 winds, 150 miles an hour, and a storm surge of 13.8 feet. Lewis, a lifelong blue-collar construction worker, bought a fixer-upper for retirement in the Fort Myers area, in the Old City area, in fact, and had done renovations for several years. When evacuation orders were given, he, as well as many of his neighbors, packed up best they could and moved north. Days later, upon return, he and all his neighbors saw total destruction. The neighborhood was gone. Not a single home or building was left standing. Without insurance, all was lost. No government agency offered hope for reconstruction. Today, Lewis is living in a repurposed family garage in northeastern Ohio. His son and his son's family have a small bungalow with 2 children and mommy and daddy. The only room they had was the garage. So he and his son repurposed the garage, and today that is his home. Lewis is a determined man who walks in the national park and all of our parks on almost a regular basis. He's friendly, he's courteous, and he's making friends. You meet some of the nicest people while you're in our park service. This is Lewis, and I hope you have an opportunity to meet him someday. Thank you very much.
David Korosek. His first one is Reenactor Recruits Assemble. The new recruits nervously gather to meet the drill instructor while parents and grandparents watch. Second one, a pep talk from the drill instructor. The recruits settle in and tighten ranks as they get a pep talk. Left, right, and just like that, they are off and on the march. Marching home. After a short lap around the parade ground, the recruits are all smiles. Huzzah! Then it's off to get ice cream.
That's always the best part of war, is getting the ice cream. Eric's here.
This is a rehearsal photo of Medina County Showbiz's Arsenic and Old Lace, which I was involved in back in April. And when I was not on stage, I was shooting some. There we go. Sorry about that. That was one of the photos that I took during a dress rehearsal. So I was sitting in my living room one of my days off, and I suddenly noticed that I've got the blue.
What we'll do is,
The battery.
here we go. For those of you at home, we're replacing they go in a funny way here. Get something from the fridge if you're at home while we just do a quick battery change. They go in upside down.
There we go.
Also,
So I noticed the blue and red lights flickering in my living room. I looked out my front window, and we live right near a corner, and this was right around the corner. There was a police squad and life support team, and they were pulling the man out from the corner neighbor's house. Unfortunately, I do not know the status of the gentleman. This was during Dodd Camera's spring sale probably about 2 months ago. And this is a behind-the-scenes shot of FJ Westcott's doing a basic lighting set. And then this was over the summer, one of the photos I took during the Medina County Special Olympics Invitational. This was the Medina team.
okay, thanks, Eric. Is Gary here? Okay, this is Gary Marich.
Gary Marich. His first one is Ink Springs Ranch. Ink Spring Ranch, Maybell, Colorado, is in Irish Canyon on Vermilion Creek. The ranch is around 500 acres. It is exceedingly small by Colorado standards. What makes it into a working ranch is it is next to 30,000 acres of Bureau of Land Management, and Ink Springs holds a lease to graze cattle, allowing the rancher to run hundreds of herds of cattle. The next one is Roundup. Roundup. The cattle are driven in from the BLM land using horses, ATVs, and people on foot. Here's a ranch hand taking his rest, I guess. Ranch hand Tommy moving cattle down the chute to the calf table. And there's the calf table. Calf table where branding, vaccination, and elastation rather than castration for the male calves. Elastration is a bloodless method of male castration and docking commonly used for livestock. Elastation is simply banding the body part until it drops off.
I don't care how nice you make it sound. That's they do all there's a lot of smoke coming out of that, and when you mention, I mean, it's great to mention a combination: vaccination, branding, castration. I mean, it's
all in that one little place there.
all in that one little place. And and I complain about getting the flu and another shot at the same time. I won't. My gosh.
Branding the old way. Oh, that's kind of a nice
Is the mic on there? Is your
Old-fashioned
Mariah?
way.
Is your mic on? There.
Old-fashioned way of branding young lady Lexi in this photograph works for a local bank in Steamboat Springs.
Okay. Joe here. Hey, Joe Smith.
Joe Smith. Chillin' on the dunes of Mesquite Valley. I took this photo of a young girl laying near her snow and board atop one of the dunes in Mesquite Valley, Death Valley National Park. She seemed to be mesmerized by the natural beauty of the distant snow-covered mountains, perhaps wishing that she could surf sand and snow.
I wish I knew. She had a wider. I mean, I hope she's not going to go down 13,000 feet there too. I mean, it looks like it's pretty steep.
That's a beauty.
Yeah.
Ghosts of Solitary Confinement, Shawshank. This photo was taken in the dark recesses of the Mansfield Reformatory, aka Shawshank. I was struck by the terrible silence and the screams that must have been heard on those long, lonely nights. I needed a long exposure, so those in the distance moving into the area were blurred, ghostly. Rest in peace, spirits of Oklahoma City. I visited the Oklahoma City Memorial one evening this past spring. I was moved by the serenity and the peacefulness that surrounds this resting place of so many souls lost that fateful night of April 19th, 1995. The church steeple in the background provides some solace for the nation and for the families of the departed.
Yeah, and look at with the small aperture, the starburst effect on the, I've never seen that on the cross like that. It really just is almost surreal.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That feels so good. This photo was taken at the Miami Zoo this past December. The day was pleasantly warm, and this attendant stopped for a few minutes to scratch the neck of a giant tortoise who was clearly ecstatic. The giver and the receiver were rewarded equally by the magic touch. I got this, Coach. A lacrosse match between Brunswick Middle School and rival Strongsville. This player is taking a shot at the goal and is concentrating intensely. It's all in the eyes.
Kim Wasilewski.
Kim's first one is I kissed a dog and liked it. While volunteering for one of the nonprofit events, I caught this love fest between a dog and his guardian.
Nancy's here. We'll get you the mic.
It's ready to go.
Hi. My husband and I met my son in Tajikistan this summer, and this is one of the scenes we saw. While hiking through the mountains, that's what we did most of the month, we came across this group who are diffusing landmines. That's the equipment they use, and we walked by them, and we had one guy running up to us and said, see those red posts? Don't go that direction. says that's the landmines. So they have some red posts marked, but it is near the border of Uzbekistan, and we were aware that there was going to be landmines because I looked up on the web to see warnings and stuff for tourists, and they said, do not stay on the road, don't walk over the border because there's a lot of landmines around the border. So along with everything else you can think of, problems with hiking, we had to worry about landmines too.
I am not going to complain about the orange barrels anymore. That's the other.
This is also in Tajikistan. This is a, this isn't the picture I thought I put in. Okay, anyway, this is the city market. We were in Dushanbe, which is the capital of Tajikistan, and the opulence. It's a very poor country, but it's a lot of farmland, and this is all fresh fruits, vegetables, loads and loads of spices. And I can't believe that's the one I put in. Okay. Is there another one? No.
No?
That is so strange.
Yeah.
Randy Johns.
Randy?
No, he's not here. First one is hooked. Young boy caught a fish at the lake. He's now trying to carefully take the hook out of its mouth. Checkered flag. After a couple of hours of watching the race, the fans are excited for the final turn before the finish line. All eyes are glued on the cars. Some fans cheer with their hands in the air. Some are recording the event on their phone, and others are listening to pit crew conversations on their headsets. This one is Land Ho. A group of people are looking out over the blue water to a cluster of houses on the hills. A young girl on the left is taking a video to remember this experience. Selfie sunset. As the day is coming to an end, the group huddles together on the beach to grab a selfie together.
Oh, here I am. These are just a few from India. I had an opportunity to go there about 2 months ago, and this is just walking through the streets, some street scenes. And I try to get mostly just the people at work and whatnot. This was a jeweler. India is absolutely fascinating because it's much smaller than the United States. We have about 300 million people, and they have 1.4 billion. And there are just people everywhere. So the streets are crowded, people are making things, there's commerce out in the streets as well. Everyone is brightly dressed too. So this was just on the street, this man making and repairing jewelry. So I tried to get up close to his hands to get some of the texture and just the feel of that. This was it's just the way it is there. I was the only one thinking this was unusual. Cows are, as you know, sacred in India, so therefore no one owns them, and they roam wherever they want. That includes interstates, not just roads like this. This was in Jodhpur, and they're just out there, and the motorcycles, again, which are used, as you see, to carry a lot too, are used to just making last minute. They'll run out in the streets, and cars just swerve around them and whatnot, and things too. And they'll just stay out there for about 20 minutes or so too, and just walk on. It's like I said, the most amazing thing is just how you're the only one, as an outsider, who thinks this is unusual. No one else pays any attention, and the cars just go around it like it was just normal, which it is there. This is a porter on one of the trains. This is one of the luxury trains there. And it's just an interesting thing because you'll see also what some of the regular trains look like as well. The tracks out in some of the distant parts of the country that we're at are almost, the construction is kind of funny how they put the trains together. And you feel every bump and every sway and everything. And it's like riding on a camel where you sway back and forth. It's interesting because if you've been on Amtrak and whatnot, which everything is based towards making you just not even think you're moving, here there's no doubt you're going left to right and up and down and every little bump and whatnot. And it's interesting because these trains, this luxury train was advertised as having Wi-Fi, extra fast Wi-Fi, so no problems, which is technically true. There is a pole with a transponder about every 30 miles or so, and it transmits Wi-Fi for about a half mile outside the pole. So if you're on the train, you got to get your stuff together. They tell you, we're coming to the pole. And you got to get set, and you got, the train slows down, you do your Wi-Fi, and speeds up again and whatnot too, and you have about 30 seconds. So it's an experience. But again, you're the only one that thinks this is unusual, again. And that, I think, was the fascinating part of going there, because it's just, everything functions. Again, you put 1.4, there were things that went on there on intersections and whatnot, that if you tried to have the same situation in New York City, you'd have, fatalities and road rage and everything else like that too. But here you mix, there are no traffic, in a lot of these big traffic circles, there's no signs, there's no traffic lights, there's no crosswalks. People cross anywhere, cars kind of go anywhere, the cows go anywhere, and when you watch this, it works. And so it's an amazing system that, again, is not duplicable, I think, in the States. And these are some of the regular trains look like that the people ride. Again, there is a lot of poverty there. These are some regular people just waiting to board one of the other trains. These are not passenger over here. There are some passenger cars in the back. This is more freight up at this end. And this was, I recropped this, I used this at another competition. This was my attempt at, what's very interesting, is this is blind photography. There are a lot of interesting things that go on in the alleyways, but when you're on a rickshaw or the motorized rickshaw, you're doing 30 miles an hour. So as you're zooming past things like this, you don't have time. You could have your camera up, but before you know it, you're past these things. You have no time to compose or whatnot. So I experimented in using a 24 millimeter lens so it has a good depth of field, putting it on 1,000th of a second to take care of the bumps and things like that, and f/16 to give maximum depth of field. And then relying on autofocus, figuring if it hit anywhere within a few feet of this thing too, I'd probably get them in the depth of field. I just kept the camera at my waist and just kept clicking as we passed things. And as we zoomed on by these two guys sitting there, I just, snapped that, and it happened to come out. But this is one that had I tried to, on the rickshaws we're going by to compose it, I would have missed the picture. So it was just an interesting technique thing. But I also thought they were fascinating because it's one of these old style cycles as well. And again, a ton of motorcycles over there. So that's just, I think, my last picture. Yep. And so that's it. So that is our presentation.
Photojournalism, that's kind of the best way to do it.
What photojournalism is, yes, just to
Let it rip.
just let it rip. Actually, I had never done that before, and it's a technique. If anyone out there tries it, it does work, because then I tried it out of moving cars. So even if you're in a bus going by and you're going down 40 miles an hour, and I used a little, you'd use f/16 and a wide angle lens or something, and most of that stuff comes out. You could also use it walking just down the street. Now that's a little harder because you kind of hopefully want to get it to point at the people as well. But if you have it down here at your waist and you happen to hit the strange person or whatnot that's over there too, you'll get the shot. So you can just go around with it at your waist and just keep clicking, and you get some scenes that had you held your camera up, you would never be able to duplicate. People would stop what they were doing, they'd tell you no picture, whatnot. So it was just an interesting thing that I'm working on. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of fun. So I thank you all for coming. Please submit to our competitions, and again, anything we could do for you, just let us know. So thank you again.
put it to a point